Well, good morning, everybody. Ron Wheeler here. Welcome to our How to Generate 3% per month with one option trade per week seminar. We're going to be starting here officially in just a few minutes. And I always like to start the room just a couple minutes early to make sure that everything is working and all of the sound is going and all that great stuff. So do me a favor. If you can hear my voice and if you can see my screen, let me know in the chat. Just type in a Y or yes. Just let me know that everything is working well and that I can don't have any issues. All right, good deal. All right, and I see Boyce, Bernice, Christina, Elmer, Faisal, Jay, Wayne. All right, cool. Vin, Ted. Now you guys are all starting to join in there. Doyle and Prakash. Awesome. Good deal. So, as I said, the class isn't going to start here for another like 4 minutes or so, but I like to just make sure everything works, and it looks like it's working. So that's a really, really good thing. So hopefully you're excited. We're going to have a really good lecture here for the next hour or so, and you're going to learn some really good ways to create income from using the market, and it's going to be great. So before we get started, just, passing some time, I'm kind of interested. What time is it by you guys? Where are you? What time is it? I live in Ohio, and this is a live webinar, so it's about 11:57 a.m. here. Sky looks a little bit gray outside there. Looks like it's might rain a little bit today. A little windy, but just kind of curious. Always like to see where the broadcast is going to. All right, Christina, same as you, 6 p.m. Ben. Okay, 6, you're all the way in Europe. Noon, Wayne, you're in Austin, an hour before me at Chattanooga. 11:57 in Canada, 10 in Utah. Randy, awesome. I see a lot of Central Time. Aurora, Illinois. Raphael, welcome. All right, cool. So it looks like so far we got a couple people in Canada. We got a couple people in Europe, which is kind of always kind of nice. So looks like we're spreading this around pretty well. I always like to know. I spent years and years and years on the road doing education, and gosh, it's so nice to be able to sit here in my office at home and do these classes. It's so much nicer not have to go everywhere in the world. I liked it for a while, but not so much anymore. All right. And then last but not least, I'm wondering, what do you do for a living? Are you retired? Do you still work? I ask because, when I first put this class together, I focused on trying to develop a technique that can help retirees create income. But I found over the years is I've got clients all over the spectrum. So I'm just kind of curious, where are you in your life? Obviously, I still work. I work for VectorVest. I've worked here for, when did I start working here? 9 years ago. I started in 2015, so it's been 9 years for me. And before that, I've worked in, except for my first couple of years after college, I worked in IT, and then I worked in software and trading for the rest of the time. So I'm 48 now. Well, I'll be 48 in a couple months. So I've been doing this a long time. Dale Austin retired, volunteering lots, worked in Rotary. Faisal worked in investing for early retirement, semi-retired, diffusion process engineer in semiconductors. Nice, Wayne. Randy, 1 year retired. A lot of folks retired. Thomas, Ben, Christina, Truck. All right. Boyce retired. All right, cool. Well, it doesn't really matter ultimately what you do or what if you're retired or not. The cool thing is we can take this process and we can make it so you can devote 15 minutes a week, you can devote 4 hours a week. It really ultimately comes down to how much you want to put into it. And we'll talk a little bit more about, how I got to this point of doing these option trades and why I do these and why I actually created this for someone that's retired, someone that doesn't want to be a full-time trader anymore. So I'll give you a little bit of my story as we kind of go through the introductory phases when we officially start too. So, all right, well, let's do this. It is 12 o'clock, so let's go ahead and officially get started. I want to welcome all of you to today's webinar. It's called How to Generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. And in today's webinar, I'm going to be showing you the breakthrough system we developed here at VectorVest that's going to help you generate income in any type of market condition. And the information I'm going to share with you not only has changed my life, I've seen it change the lives of so many people. So I hope you're excited about it as well. Now, in this webinar, you're going to see how you can begin making a paycheck that averages about 3% per month or even more sometimes. Now, keep in mind, you can do this regardless of market direction, bullish or bearish, it doesn't matter. You can do it with little to no or prior experience. You can do it safer than simply buying or selling stocks. and it's something that you can implement quickly. Now, I know it might sound too good to be true, and you might be thinking, is this legit? You want some proof? Well, I would too if I were you. Because I see those, I get these on Facebook. I see them all the time. These people like, oh, day trade, 0 days to expiration. I'm making 50 grand a week. Listen, I'm not like that. That's not the way I do things. I like to let the results stand for themselves and let you decide. So here's how we did last year. I trade with a real money trading account with my clients. Each week we place live trades together, and the Paycheck system we use made over $37,000 in our $100,000 trading account. That's an average of 3.1% per month. Now, obviously, we don't make money every month. We made money in 8 out of 12 months. My average winning trade, I want you to remember this. My average winning trade is $1,000, and my average losing trade is $1,000. So I don't have huge losers. I keep things very, very tight. Now, this year is just starting, but so far through the end of April, so far up around 10%, with an average winner of 887 and an average loser of 755. Okay, so the thing that you can see the most here is look at those average winners and average losers. I don't have these large nasty losers. Everything is proportional, and that's the beauty of it. Now, who knows what's going to happen in 2024? But regardless of whether the market goes up or down from here, we'll still be able to generate income, and that's really the key. I've been teaching this technique to students since 2016, and one of my recent students sent me this email in December, and he said, hey, Ron, just wanted to thank you and your team for the SPX Paycheck course in September. I've been using this method, tracking my performance, and thought you'd like to see the results. I entered my first 35 Delta trade on September 21st with only $5,000 in my margin account. Now, less than 3 months later, I'm already up 24.9%. Thanks again. I'll be teaching this method to my retiree in-laws to help them grow their income in retirement. Now, I love to hear that. And this is also a lesson for you as well. You don't need to dedicate $100,000 to this like I have in there. You can start small. And while you learn and practice, it does build up quickly. For example, if you started with $5,000 and you averaged 3% per month, compounded over 15 years, that puts you at $1 million. Now, if you start with 25,000, you'd be near $1 million after 10 years. You're looking at some serious money. Now, clearly, if you have more than $5,000 or $25,000, you'd obviously get there much faster. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and their results with you, and we're going to talk about a few of them today. These are real people just like you. As I teach you the system today and share their stories, I want you to pay close attention because you might find that you're in a very similar position now as they were when they started. Now, my name again is Ron Wheeler, and I'm the options trading manager here at VectorVest. I've been trading now for over 25 years. Now, when I first started trading, like most people, I didn't have a lot of success with it. I was a day trader concentrating on commodities. And one of the reasons that new traders struggle is because they have to master a couple things. They have to master A, how to pick the right things to trade and pick direction, and they also have to manage their money. That's hard, right? If I bought something that didn't go up, I lost money. And if I was right, I had to make sure that my gains exceeded my losses. It's not easy. Well, after struggling with it and then finally becoming profitable after about 3 years, I kind of settled into becoming a day trader of commodities and everything else. Now, as part of my job, I also did support and I also supported software that helped traders find trades, technical analysis software. One of our clients was an options trader. And he said, Ron, I know you're not big into options, but hey, I'm coming out to your area and I want to stop by the office to say hi to everybody. And I want to talk to you guys about options. So he basically showed me how institutions traded options. Now, again, I was a day trader trading commodities at the time, and I was doing well. But he showed me a way using options where it takes a lot of the guesswork, if you will, out of the equation. He could place a trade where even if he was wrong, he could still make money. And that struggle to make sure your gains are bigger than your losers or equal, all these options trade have their risk known up front. And there's no guessing. Here's how much you're going to make. Here's how much you're going to lose. Simple as that. He showed me how options can control risk, how they control and stack probability. I want you to think of the pressure that takes off. You don't have to be right to make money. So I started dabbling with options. And probably about 15 years ago, I really transitioned from being a day trader into being an options trader where I was much more off the screen, if you will. I didn't want to day trade anymore. I did everything options, and now I'm probably about 99% options. It's all I do. And I've kind of transitioned all the way from the day trading I used to do. I can make the same amount of money in less time. And that's really what's important for me at this point. Okay. Now, in this webinar, I'm going to show you the exact system I use to generate these types of returns. I'm going to show you case studies and examples of our clients who are doing this. I'm going to show you our system so that if you learn and follow our strategies, you can repeat it. And stay with me to the end because I put together a checklist to help you plan out your trades. It's a PDF. We'll put it right in the handout section of GoToWebinar. I'll drop it right in there. You can click on it, print it out today. But just do me a favor, remind me when we get to the Q&A section at the end because a lot of times I do forget after about an hour, okay? All right. Why is this such an important topic? Well, without an income system, it's on you, and that creates a number of problems for us. If you're not retired, it keeps us stuck in a situation where we have to work in order to live. Whether you got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finances are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether you'll have enough or if you're going to run out of money, that can have an impact on our life, our health, our relationships. If you're already retired, you might be watching your savings get depleted faster than you can fill it, especially with how much prices have gone up in the last couple of years. If things don't improve, you may fear you'll continue to have losses that draw down your account. You might even fear you'll have to give up on investing and go back to work. Worst case scenario, you'll run out of money during retirement. However, with a system to help you generate income, things are a lot different. And I think this is probably the most important point of the webinar. So pay attention, write down what I'm about to say. In order to be financially free, our main need is income. To be financially free, all you need to do is learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So let me say this again. In order to become financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Whether you're still working or retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Because when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life will change. If you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but they kept paying you. It's like a tap you can turn on whenever you want. This is going to allow you to do things that you want to do now and when you retire. When you've got a system to help you generate income, it can even help you retire younger. So as I said, I believe this is one of the most important points of the presentation. So I'm going to say this again. When the income from our investments exceeds our living expenses, we become financially free or have the ability to retire. For example, Brian's a client of ours who's a perfect example of how easy you could become proficient at income from the market, even if you don't have a lot to invest with. He had some health problems and he needed a way to supplement his income. He used the options paycheck system and he was able to generate $23,000 in profits. Now, the cool thing is here, he started with $6,000. He said he had 100% winning trades in 10 months. That's pretty incredible. 31 of 31 winning trades. He used our most basic index system. And the key point here is this is not beginner's luck. It's the result of following a good system, a system that gives you probability and controls risk. That's the system that helped him get that 100% winning trades and create that $23,000 in profit, starting with just that $6,000 in 10 months. Now, the first thing you need to do to take control of your returns, it's a bit of a strategic mindset shift. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Now, being an option seller is the way you can make consistent income each month. It allows you to win even when you're wrong. Now, why do you want to be the casino or the house? Well, because number one, the house always wins. Number two, the house always wins because they control and they stack probability in their favor. Now, the options paycheck system we're going to talk about is built around you stacking the odds massively in your favor. So make a note of this. In order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. And the obvious question is, how do you do it? Well, the first step is the shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of that shift from gambling on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking probability in his favor. Prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from brokers. Bruce focused on our SPX income system, which is our most basic trading system, as he's not the most technical person in the world. But in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from $100 to $497,000 in 3.5 years. He said he's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the system. And it takes him around 15 minutes a day. Now, these stories, they're not me. These are people that have done this with the system. That's the key here. Now, let me show you how this works. Here's an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make. Remember earlier I said that, I kind of didn't really like options? This is why. You find a stock you like. You think it's going to go up. So you either buy shares of it or you buy a call. Now, why do you buy a call option? Well, mainly because when you started learning options, it's what you were taught to do. You think a stock will go up, you buy a call. You think a stock will go down, you buy a put. But what ends up happening a lot of times? Either the stock doesn't go up, no problem, or it doesn't go up enough, and the call you just bought ends up expiring worthless. Essentially, you picked the right direction, but it didn't go up enough for you to make money. Does that ever happen to you? Well, yes, it's happened to me too. What's the problem here? Why is this causing us to lose? Well, when you look back, a lot of people feel, well, maybe they just picked the wrong stock. Possible. Maybe they picked the wrong strike price of their option, or maybe the wrong expiration. Possible. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. This is how you put probability on your side. This is how you're going to win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. Now, as a buyer, a typical trade is going to only give you a 50-50 chance to be a winner. Because when you buy something, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. So instead of having a buyer's mentality, we're going to shift to a seller's mentality. So instead of hoping a stock just goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up a trade using probability. Probability tells you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of just buying the stock, we're going to set up a trade that says this $204 stock, we can make money as long as it stays above 195. So as long as the stock doesn't come down to 195, we can still make money. Now think about that. You can pick a price below the stock, and as long as the stock stays above it, you can make money. If the stock goes up, you make money. If the stock goes sideways, you make money. It can even come down a little, and you can make money. If it goes down too far, you're going to take a small proportional loss. Right from the beginning, probability is in your favor. And you can even increase the probability even more. You can simply choose lower prices. They give you a bigger area where you can be right. We do a lot of our trades that start off with a 70% probability of success. And you can only do this as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor. It's not an indicator. It's how we set the trades up. And this is the definition of an income trade. An income trade is simply one where you can make money even if you are wrong on direction. Now, Bruce continues to trade with me every week. In fact, he posted in our private group and said, another day of trading on the beach, got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere. That's a great picture right there of financial freedom. Now, Mike was someone who dabbled with options, but said he lost on each trade. Have you ever been there? Can you imagine how frustrating that is to lose on each of your trades? Eventually, he just gave it up. He tried to come back, learn a little bit more about options, but he said he never felt comfortable. He knew what he was doing. He said he had all this knowledge, but he had no set criteria. He didn't know where and when to use it. So Mike and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system of being an option seller, and he became like an income machine. After he learned the system, he immediately went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of over 12,000 in 4 months. Now, the key lesson here is this: going from buyer or the gambler to seller or the house, that turned his situation around immediately. He was so proud of his success, he even sent me a spreadsheet of his trades. Here's Mike's results. Notice the number of winners, that's the profit column, to the number of losers. That's pretty typical. Now, also notice the length of the trades: 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 11. He's pulling in about $1,000 every 7 to 11 days. Now, if you're like Mike and a lot of our students, you can start just by trading the SPX. That's the index that tracks the S&P 500. This involves only one trade per week and has averaged about 4.5% per month since 2016. The odds are stacked on your favor in these trades. The key is we're not looking for one big home run here. We're not trying to become a millionaire overnight. You're growing your account steadily each year. And that's another key takeaway. Those home runs, they look good, but singles are what win the games. These singles are what will enable you to never run out of money and be able to do the things that you want to do. Okay, so you've seen simply by flipping from buyer to seller, you can stack the odds significantly in your favor. Now we're going to stack the odds even further by understanding and capitalizing on the 3 most common buyers, or what we call gamblers' mistakes. The first mistake is that buyers, option buyers in this case, they choose unrealistic strike prices. They choose strike prices that are so far away, the stock has no chance of hitting it. Let me explain. Here's a stock. Let's say you're bullish on it. A mistake that a lot of option buyers make is they buy calls with strike prices way up here. Stock's at 216, they buy a $230 call. Now, understand that you're really not going to make any money on this trade unless the stock goes up like $15 to $16 a share. Well, why would you do that? Why would you put yourself in a position where you enter a trade and the stock has to move $15, $16 a share before you even make money? Well, they do it because those options are very cheap. And most buyers treat options like lottery tickets. All right, I'll risk $50 and maybe I can make $300-400. Maybe I'll hit the home run and make $5,000. Well, guess what? Most of the time they lose. Now, the good thing is, since there's always going to be buyers out there buying these options, you may as well be the one who sells it to them, because those options have a very low probability of getting hit. When I say getting hit, that means the stock actually touches the price of the strike. So that means this stock goes from 216 to 230. It gets hit. Okay? Since it has a low probability of getting hit, that means you have a high probability of winning. And the same goes for puts. Now, there's people who buy puts way down below the stock price. Maybe they buy them as lottery tickets, like we explained before, or maybe they're buying it as insurance for their underlying stock purchases. Listen, it doesn't matter why they're doing it. The fact is, there are always buyers who buy out there these options. And since there will always be those buyers out there, we may as well be the one who sells it to them. Because when we sell those options, it gives us a built-in 60 to 90% probability of success right from the very start of the trade. So we're putting probability on our side. Now, the second mistake that buyers make is they choose expiration dates that are just simply too close to the current date. It's like when you go to the grocery store and you see a piece of steak on the discount rack. Yeah, it's cheap, but that's because it expires today. You have to go home and cook it right now. You can't wait till next week. The same is true for options. Here's what you see what happens to the price of an option in relation to the days to expiration. So first I want you to notice, in the upper left-hand corner, we're about 180 days from expiration. As the option gets closer and closer to expiration, the time value of the option is diminishing. Slow at first, and then right around here at 45 days, it starts to exponentially decline. Over the last 45 days, the option loses 50% of its time value, where previously it took like 135 days to lose it. Now, what happens is a lot of option buyers really target buying their options in these final 45 days because they're very inexpensive. But what we're going to do as option sellers, we are going to target selling options in that window instead of buying them. Now, to be more specific, we like to sell most of our trades 21 to 45 days away. It gives us enough premium to control our risk, and it's less time to where those options are going to expire and they're going to lose their value very, very quickly. Okay? It gives that buyer less time to be right. It gives us, the time we need to make our money. Now, here's a graph of Home Depot. Most buyers will buy an expiration maybe out here, right? 30 days, 40 days. Well, that expiration is simply too close because you're in that final 45 days of decay. This is bad for the option buyer because even if the stock goes up, the decay of the option comes in and it's going to eat away all of their profits. That's really bad for an option buyer. But now we're going to be the seller. We're going to let this time decay work in our favor. Remember, there's always people buying options that have expiration dates too close, and we're going to be the ones who sell it to them. Let them be the gambler. You be the casino, because you are always going to win in the end. Now, the third mistake that buyers make is they simply pay too much. They buy what's called an overpriced option. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, and a lot of people don't understand this about options. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Here's two stocks. I want you to look at the top where the arrows are. I want you to notice that both stocks are around the same price. They're right around $76. But even though these two stocks have the same price, the option prices are very different. Over on the left, the call is going to cost you $910. Over on the right, the call is going to cost you $180. That one on the right is like 4+ times more expensive. Why do they have such different options prices? Same strike price, same stock price, same expiration, so nothing is different. The stock on the left has very high volatility, and that leads to the option being very, very overpriced. Buyers who buy these options, they're paying too much. Well, what's the big deal, right? It's only money, it just costs me a little bit more. Well, watch what happens when a buyer buys an option that is overpriced like that one on the left. Both stocks, they go up $8 a share over the next month, from $76 to $84. Let's see what happens to the value of the options. Over on the left, that expensive option actually lost money. You didn't make anything. You lost. Over on the right, that $180 option had like a 400% return. Think about that. You got direction right. You bought the right strike. You bought probably not the right expiration, but oh well. But you bought an overpriced option and you lost money. And it all came back to that volatility. The buyer on the left simply paid too much for their premium. Now, what we're going to do as sellers, we're not going to buy these options. We are actually going to sell them. I want you to think about that. As an option seller, we're going to take advantage of those extremely overpriced options. That's going to limit our risk. It's going to increase our probability, and it's going to stack probability even more on our side. That's the beauty of being the seller of these overpriced options. Now, Bob has one of the most interesting stories I've seen. Prior to working with us, he was making a bunch of the mistakes we talk about here, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he said he either ended up broke or bankrupt 3 times. In his own words, came close to living under a bridge. The Options Paycheck system helped Bob turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He learned to turn these mistake liabilities into strategies that helped him control and stack probability in his favor. In 4 months, Bob grew his account by 71% and achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Remember, folks, in order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to control and stack probability in your favor. So let me ask you a question. In the chat, I want you to share with me. Have any of you that have traded options before ever made those mistakes? Just do me a favor. Type a simple yes or no in the chat. I'll give you a minute just to type in a response there. All right. Yep, I see lots of yeses. Wayne, Mark, Eric, Prakash, Elmer, Pedro, a lot of folks are going so far. Ted, Robert, Frank, Doyle, a couple of you, Randy, Christina, you've never traded options or anything before. That's fine. I like it when you're new because, you know, I have always reminded me of this, right? I have two sports that I play. I play golf and I do bowling. Bowling you could call a sport, probably more of an activity than a sport. But I do golf and bowling. I wish I could go back and forget everything I know about both of those and just go back to the drawing board and pay somebody to teach me how to do it right. So I didn't have to fight for years overcoming my errors. That's the beauty about being a beginner and finding the right system. So for those of you that never traded options before, understand you're not going to probably understand everything that I talk about today, but know that we can teach you from the ground floor. Now listen, for those of you that have traded options, most of you have done this. Everyone's made these mistakes. It's not your fault. We're simply taught broken systems. Now, at this point, hopefully you know and you're intrigued and you want to be an option seller. So what I want to do now is I want to look at how to trade with very little risk, because when a lot of people hear options, and especially the term selling options, they think it's very risky. However, the options paycheck system we use teaches a low risk strategy for selling options. This is why it's a core strategy we teach all of our retirees. Now, why is reducing risk so important? Because most people who don't use the options paycheck system, they aren't preserving their capital. And if you've ever talked to somebody about the horror stories of being an option seller, you might hear the horror story. I did this well, had 80% winning trades for 4 months, then one trade came in there and wiped out all my gains. That can happen if you're not using the right system. I would never take a trade. First off, I want to go back to the beginning. Do you remember I talked about how one of my clients taught me about options? And I said you control risk right from the very beginning. You know right up front if it's a trade that can cause you to lose 9 wins. Okay? You just don't take those trades. It's not like, uh-oh, I did everything right and then I lost 15 of my trades. You know in the setup if that can happen. And if that can happen, you just don't take it. It's very easy actually to avoid this. If this happens to you, it becomes very hard to recover your losses. It takes a long time to recover. But in order to protect your losses, you have to have the right system in place. And that system is going to have a built-in protection plan. You take care of risk management before you even open the trade. When you can confidently select stocks and set up your trades in a way that reduces risk, it allows you to preserve and grow your capital. Like I said earlier, those home runs, they look good on paper, but singles are what win the games. Now, one of the most common questions we get asked is, can I trade options from an IRA? Well, a client of ours, John, grew his IRA over 112% using our options paycheck system. In fact, I trade some of this stuff in my IRA. My colleague Brian, my colleague John, they all trade in their IRAs too. John had tried and struggled with trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. In 12 months, he enjoyed 85% winning trades, and he more than doubled the size of his IRA, spending no more than 15 minutes per day on his trading. Now, the options paycheck system makes sure that you reduce your risk before you open the trade. First, we choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks that are already rising in price, similar to what you would see here. Then, instead of selling an option naked, we're going to sell with protection. So let me show you how to do this and why it's beneficial. A traditional option selling system leaves you with all of this risk down here. What we're going to do with the options paycheck is we're going to reduce your risk to only this. So let me show you how this works. This is a graph of a typical stock we'd be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph. So it's understandable to be bullish on a stock that looks like this. Traditionally, you would go out, buy the stock, right? Maybe you even buy a call. Use the stock price as a basis for your strike price. But remember, we're not going to do that. We're not the buyer anymore. You're the seller. So here's what you're going to do. If you think a stock is going to go up, you are going to go underneath the stock price and you are going to sell a put. When you sell the put, you receive premium. You get paid, okay? So in this case, you get paid $200. That's great. However, if you did 10 contracts, you get $2,000. But what's the problem with that? The problem is you have no downside protection. You can lose tens of thousands of dollars on this trade. You can make 2,000, but you can lose tens of thousands of dollars. Now, if you're not familiar with options and how they work, let me give you kind of like a really quick intro to how this works. When I sell a put, I get paid. But I don't just sell the put and get paid. It's not like when you sell a car or you sell something on Facebook Marketplace, right? You get paid, they sell you the money, you give the other guy the merchandise, you're done. When you sell an option's like an insurance policy, if you will. That option that you sell is a contract, and that contract says that you may be called upon to do something. In this case, buy stock. Now, before I tell you any more about this, I've never had to do this, by the way. I've never had to buy stock. But anyway, it's like your insurance policy that you buy in your car, right? I know this because I just paid my 6-month premium. That 6-month premium I paid goes to my insurance company. Now, they protect my cars. At the end of 6 months, if I don't have any claims, they keep the premium, they win. And in 6 months, I'll pay the premium again to get another contract to protect my assets. Now, if I have an accident, they have to pay out. Same with an option. If the stock goes down enough, I may have to buy the stock. Don't worry about that because you're going to be out of the trade before that. So understand that when you sell an option, it's not like you just sell something, you collect money, and you go on your merry way. You're going to have something that's a commodity. You're going to have something. You're going to have something that you can trade. I own a contract that says, hey, I have to do this, but I can go out there and trade that contract with other traders anytime I want. That's the beauty of this. Okay? There's no downside protection, though, when you sell an option. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to have a built-in protection plan. We're going to take and buy a put a little bit lower than our price we sold. That's going to be our insurance policy. We're going to get paid, or we're going to pay for that insurance policy, just like you would for any other insurance policy. We're going to collect $200 when we sell the put. We're going to pay $100 when we buy the put as our insurance. Okay? You still at the end get paid $100 to place this trade. If you did it on 10 contracts, you would get paid $1,000. Okay? You would get paid $1,000. Now, this is what the trade does. If the stock goes up, here's what happens to those options. Those options are going to slowly and fast, depending on how fast the market goes, they are going to decrease in premium. You sold them to somebody for 200, now they're only worth 100. You can exit that trade and pocket 100 bucks. If the stock goes sideways, guess what? They're still going to decline in value because you're closer to expiration. If the stock goes the wrong way and it drops below 135, you are going to exit the trade like you would any other trade. If you bought a stock at $138 a share and you said, okay, I'm going to hold this stock till 135, if it goes below 135, you would simply just go out and sell the stock to somebody else, right? An option trade is the same thing. You have a stop in place. That stop is whatever option price you sold. You sold at 135, that's where you exit the trade. You take a small proportional loss. All right, so let's do this. I want to use a few examples of some trades I did with my clients last year to kind of help you better understand how to set them up. So I'm going to be showing you some numbers, so you got to pay attention to this. Now, here's the key. When the market is bullish, we place bullish income trades. I've been essentially doing bullish trades for like the last 6 months. We are just starting a bearish phase right now, so I'm starting to look for bearish trades. But when the market's bullish, we place bullish trades. And I'm going to give you a pro tip here. We are going to look at a 60% probability of winning as our basis. So this is an example of a stock. This is Pulte Group, PHM. It's in a very nice uptrend. But let's zoom in closer. This is a stock, by the way, I would really like to be long on. This is the last couple months. Now, you're going to win if PHM stays above the strike price you pick prior to expiration in red. So here's what you can do. Every option broker does this, by the way. You can look on any broker site, and they will give you either a probability of the option, or they will give you a probability calculator that you can figure this out. So this option that I'm going to sell expires in about 25 days. I'm just guessing based on where that red arrow is in the date. So here's what the option says. If I go out there and I sell a $75 put I have a 56% chance over the next 25 days or so of staying above 75 bucks. If I go down to 73, I have a 73% probability of staying above that. If I go down to 70, I have a 91% probability of staying above that. So again, if I go and sell a $75 put, I have a 56% chance of being right. If I sell a $73 option, I have a 73% chance of being right. If I sell a $70 option, I have a 91% chance of being right. Well, let me ask you guys a question in the chat. Not knowing anything else, which option would you prefer to trade? Would you rather be 56% right, 73% right, or 91% right? Not knowing any other information, what would you rather be? Shosh, you were first, 91%. Boys, C, 91%. 91%. Most of you are answering 91%. A couple of you answered B. Now, I'm kind of leading you, by the way, to that 91% probability. Because let me tell you something. If I could do a trade at 91% probability, I would love it. Here's the problem with 91% probability. That 91%, that's the trade where you're going to make $1,000 on the winner and you're going to lose $12,000 when you lose. So what good is being 90% right if on 9 trades you make 9 grand and that one loser you lose 12? It doesn't work. Probability is good, but too much probability, like anything else in life, is not good. So what we want to be is we want to be at least 60% right. So 56% is out. 91% is out because it's too much probability and too much risk. It really falls right into that 73% level. That's really where we want to be in these trades. You know, if we can get 90% and we can be proper on the risk, that's great, but you can't always be that way. Okay? We're going to sell the highest probability that we can based on good risk control. And that's typically going to be in the 60 to 75% range. So in this trade, again, this was an actual trade I took. I did something called a bull put spread. I sold a $73 put and I bought as insurance a 70. Okay? A bull put spread. I like the way this trade is named, by the way, because it pretty much just tells you what it is. Something you do when you're bullish, you're doing with puts, and it's a spread. You're doing 2 options. Now, the stock went up, and in 3 days, I was able to pull in $876 in profit. That's the beauty of it, right? In the trade, out in 3 days. You're not keeping these till expiration. It's like any other trade. You have a profit target in mind. When it hits that profit, you take your profits and you move on to the next trade. Now, when the market turns bearish, we place bearish income trades. Now, last year, it was a mix. We had some bearish markets and we had some bullish markets. Well, Target was one of the bearish trades I took before the summer. Target had been in an extended downtrend. They had a lot of bad press last year. The stock got hammered. It broke down below a big support level, 140 bucks, and I wanted to be bearish on this trade. So again, I want Target to stay below a certain strike price. All right? So this is the option I sold out here in July. It was probably about 40 days to expiration, knowing where that red arrow is. I want to sell between 21 and 45 days. I go to my broker. I look at my options, and I see I can sell a 135 with 64% probability. I can sell a 140 with 76, or I could sell a 145 with 85% probability. Knowing a little bit more about what you know now, which one would you pick? Type in the chat, A, B, or C. All right, I see a couple of C's. Boyce, you were first with C. B's, C's, Rob, Raphael, Rob, Fortune, B. Ben, B. Christina, B. All right, here's the cool thing, right? Those of you that answered B or C, you're both right. These both look okay to sell. Now, this is what the final step really is here, all right? You're going to look at these probabilities. Then you're going to take the next step, and you're going to look at the risk. How much risk do I have if I sell the 64% option? How much risk do I have if I sell the 76% option? You can even take it to 85% if you want to, right? What I look for in my trades is this. if I sell the 76% option and my risk is, let's say, $1,000 and my potential gain is $1,000, I'm probably going to take that trade. I try to arrange my trades with the highest probability and the right amount of risk reward. Now, in this particular case, we were actually able to get to that 76% probability. And one of the reasons we were able to get to 76% is because the options were extremely overpriced. When the options get more overpriced, you collect more premium. The more premium you collect, the least amount your risk is. The least amount of monetary or dollar risk you have on the trade. So when you find those very expensive overpriced options, we can sometimes do trades at 76 or 80% or sometimes even more. Now, this is a bearish trade called the bear call spread. Bearish because you do it when the market's bearish. Calls because we're not using puts anymore. Now we're using calls. And spread because it's two options. We're selling a $140 call and we're buying as insurance the $145. Now again, that insurance policy places a cap on how much you can lose. We can't lose more than $5 on this trade. That's what the insurance policy does. Even if something crazy happens the next day and the stock opens at $200 a share, doesn't matter. Our risk is capped to that $5. Now, this trade took a little bit longer. It took 7 days. And that's pretty typical, by the way. The typical run's about 7 to 10 days. And you can kind of see, the stock didn't even go down very much. It went down like $4 a share at most, really about 3. 7 days later, 7 trading days, $765 in profits. And by the way, that's my typical win on a stock trade. I'm making usually about $750 to $850 on a typical stock trade. Index trades I make a little bit more on. That's why my average gain and average loss are a little bit higher. Okay? Now, another client I worked with is Jim. He said prior to working with me, he told me his results were inconsistent and he felt unsatisfied. He kept thinking there had to be something else out there that was better. You ever feel that way? Like there's something more out there? Jim said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing would provide more regular income and had a higher probability of success. He said after learning the system being an option seller, he had 21 winners in a row. Boom, right away. And returned about 76% in 8 months. And his average trade only lasted 8 days. Can you imagine how that must feel to be going from inconsistent to where all your trades are generating income? Now that was Jim. What about you? What would an income system like this allow you to do? Think about that. Think about how much money you could invest in this. Maybe 50 grand, maybe 25 grand, maybe 10. And think about what an extra 3% on average per month would be able to do for you. Share with me in the chat. What would that allow you to do? Maybe retire earlier. Maybe if you're younger, help with your student loans. Pay off your kids' student loans. I don't know. Give me some examples. All right, take more vacations, more cruises. I like it. Pay for trading software. Rob, that's yeah, I mean, that's part of it. Pay house mortgage, pay off the mortgage early. Golf trips. Randy, you're on my side there. I love golf trips. I don't take as many as I used to. I'm 47, but I have 3 kids that are like 7 and under, 7, 4, and 3. So I kind of really gave up on my golf the last couple of years just to be at home a little bit more. But then I'll start kicking it up. I told my wife I'm playing a little bit more golf this year. Travel more, donate, Dale, play more pickleball, buy more vinyl, Garrick. I like it. Pay taxes and insurance costs. Yep. All right. Listen, we said before that buying is gambling. Selling is about controlling risk and putting the odds of success in your favor. That's how you generate income. Now, the options paycheck system makes sure you have a guaranteed maximum risk. And it all goes back to whether you want to be the gambler or you want to be the casino. Because remember, the house may have a losing day, but they always win in the end. Being an option seller is the way that you can make consistent income each month. It allows you to do it more safely and with a higher probability of success than simply just buying and selling stocks. Now, I want to put this together and I want to show you how you can have a bulletproof system, what you can do in as little as 15 minutes a day. My students who've implemented this system have told me this is the most important thing they learned. Why? One of the biggest things people ask me is how much time is it going to take me? And it's a great question. Well, here's the challenge. There's thousands of stocks out there you can trade options on. You got to find how to pick the right stock with the right strategy. When do you get in? What expiration? What strike prices? What do you do if the trade goes against you? When do you get out with profits? And when you start thinking about that stuff, It feels like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack because there's so much information out there, you don't really know where to look. You can spend countless hours researching your trades or go from guru to guru looking for advice. Without a system, you're trading blindly. You're like a mouse running through a maze, bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's stressful. It's disheartening. With the right system, though, you can identify good trades and get reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. But to get that, you need a system. And not just any system, you need a straight line system. You need a really simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find your trades, how to set them up, and then how to manage them. So let me walk you through the pieces of the options paycheck system and the order they go in. No one else teaches option selling this way. It's like the secret sauce, if you will. There's 6 pieces, the top 5 build on each other, and then that 6 kind of ties it all together. We start out at the top of the system with market direction. A lot of traders ignore this and they just go out and start placing trades. You're going to be placing trades that are either bullish or bearish. So you have to know what the market's direction is. In a bull market, we only place bullish trades. In a bear market, we only place bearish trades. You're narrowing your focus here. Instead of just looking at everything, you're only looking at one scenario at a time. Our paycheck system has a timing signal built in that we use that tells us the market direction. Now that you know the direction of the market, you want to find stocks that are likely to move in that same direction. So just trading stocks that you know or listening to CNBC or anything, it's not the best choice. What you want to do is find stocks that are already in uptrends when the market's rising and bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market's falling. And we use 2 things. We look at fundamentals and we look at price trend. We have pre-built searches in our VectorVest platform, which we use instead of digging through the data the institutions throw at you. Now you got your list of stocks. You want a way to select the best ones for options trading. Not every stock is going to have a good options trade associated with it. Earlier, we looked at how big of an effect volatility had on this. Our paycheck system focuses on selling options with volatility in the higher end of the range, and we don't stop there. To take even more risk out, we filter out any upcoming earnings events because the stock can go any which way but loose in earnings events. We also want to make sure we're selling options in that sweet spot of 21 to 45 days. You can use tools from a broker. We happen to use a proprietary search tool which finds these trades in just really a couple of seconds. Now you got to set your trade up. Remember, we're going to pick the one that has the highest probability of success based on the strike price's individual probability, managing the right risk to reward. So if I can take an 80% probability trade and have good risk reward, I do it. If I can only take it at 65%, I do it. It's all about that risk reward. That's what's going to make sure that you don't have one losing trade that wipes out a bunch of winners. Now, before you put that trade on, you found your good trade, right? You need to know what to do if a trade goes for you or against you. I don't want you sitting in a trade feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do. Our options paycheck system has rules to take profits at predefined levels. These can be set up in advance with your broker. And if a trade goes against us, we have a simple adjustment strategy that's optional that can help you bring in more income to minimize your losses. We also know exactly when to exit the trade. And in some brokers, you can set that order up ahead of time. So when the trade goes against you, just like a win, it exits for you automatically. It's very unemotional. Now, lastly, you want a way to do this quickly. You don't want to be spending all day on the process. So you need some tools that allow you to do these things quickly. It should be something you're comfortable using. Some brokers have great tools for this. Thinkorswim has great tools. Interactive Brokers has really good tools. Tasty Trade has really good tools for this. Heck, even Fidelity and Schwab have good tools for this. You might find some paid tools to be very effective. For example, I like to use our proprietary tools from VectorVest called Options Pro, and that saves me a lot of time putting together these trades. Now, earlier we talked about Mike and Jim, and each one of them is getting their results in about 15 minutes a day, and so is Hugh. In fact, he told me one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that was efficient and worked. He said he sought the proper balance between trading and free time. He didn't have that proper work-life balance. Are you like that? Do you spend too much time on things you don't want to do and not enough time doing the things you want to do? Now that Hugh has learned the options paycheck system of selling options, he said he has more confidence, more free time, and he's able to have more fun. He said in his first 43 trades, He had 38 winners and returned over $26,000 in 4 months. So let's do this. I want you to take a pen. I want you to put a little star next to the part of your system where you're really good. For example, if you have a quick way to find a list of stocks likely to go in the direction of the market, maybe put a little star there. If there's an area where something isn't working or you need a little bit of work on it, put a frowny face there. For example, if you don't know how to manage your trades, put a frown there. If you've never traded options before, you might put frowns from option selection down. Okay? Don't overthink this. I'm going to give you about 10, 15 seconds. Give yourself a star or a frown. Now, I'm willing to bet maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. So let me ask you, in the chat, share with me, what areas do you need to work on personally? So for those of you that have never traded options, those of you that have traded options, where is some strengths in your trading right now? I firmly believe that everybody has some strengths, but we also all have weaknesses too. All right, I see Prakash, you were first. Stock Finder. Okay, that's a big one. Got to learn how to trade the right stocks. And the cool thing about that is once you learn how to pick the right stocks, that opens yourself up for a lot of things. Options trading, regular trading, all kinds of great stuff. Work on trade management, Robert, Brian, the discipline, trade management, Ellie as well. So I see a lot of trade. I see a lot of trade management. Trade management's big. It really, really is. That's the difference sometimes between being a winning trader and being a losing trader. Okay? Elmer, a little bit of work on all of them. That's fine. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Finding your weakness is always good. Now, listen, we need to get it to where you have stars all the way down. And once you do, you'll be able to generate income every month and do it in less than 15 minutes a day. Now, listen, I can't know your exact reason for coming to today's webinar, but I'm going to make a few guesses. Maybe you haven't really known what to do and you feel like you've been trading blindly. You're bumping into one wall into the next. It's left you with inconsistent results. You make some money, but then you give it all back on your next trade. Just like Jim did before he learned the options paycheck system. Maybe you've been suffering through loss after loss, and those small losses are killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're just not where you want to be. Now, today, I showed you the secret to fixing that. And it's a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know, and now you're one of them. You saw how it's possible to win even if you're wrong. How you can do it with very little risk. It's even less risk than buying and selling stocks. You saw the system that helps you generate consistent income every month. And I showed you just a few of the many people who use this system every day so they never have to worry about retirement again. You saw over and over the secret to generating your consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. Remember, you're now going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows this secret. That means there's going to be 99 other investors out there who will continue to do things wrong. They'll be buying options and making all the mistakes we talked about. You can't stop them from doing it. There's always going to be those investors out there who buy options incorrectly. Let them be the gamblers. As long as there'll be those gamblers out there, you might as well be the casino. Because remember that old saying, the house always wins in the end? The options paycheck system teaches you how to stack probability of success in your favor. Just like Brian did. Just like Bruce did. Just like Bob was able to do. And just like Jim and Hugh and John. So if you're like most people, you're wondering, well, how do I implement the paycheck system in my portfolio right now? Well, you have a choice. Option number 1, you could do nothing. Stay exactly where you are right now. And listen, if you have enough to retire and you're not worried about running out of money, then maybe you don't need the paycheck system. But if you'd like to make some extra income every month, that leaves you with 2 other options. Option 2 is you can try to do it alone. Try to figure out the direction of the market, learn to analyze the stocks, find the best ones to trade, hope you pick the right one, learn the management style. And if you're willing to work hard, spend hours in front of your computer, and you're willing to learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. Option 3 is to let us guide you through it. I'll walk you through each piece of the system. In just a few weeks, you're going to have a simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. So those 3 options, ask yourself, what's going to be easier for you? There's 2 types of people. Person number 1 is someone who dreams about their financial goals but never takes action or does anything to make it happen.
Person number 2 is someone who's serious about their financial future. You're ready to take action when you see a good opportunity in front of you. And since you're dedicated enough to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number 2, and that makes you the perfect candidate to get started on that first options paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. The Options Paycheck Experience is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using option spreads, even if you've never traded an option before. The Options Paycheck Experience is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches the secret to generating consistent income with options. It shows you exactly how to find, set up, and manage option spreads to generate income and how to do it safely and consistently in any type of market condition, so you never have that fear of running out of money. After going through the experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, along with all the fancy terms, so you no longer have that fear of options. You're going to have clear signals telling you whether to place a bullish or bearish trade and when to place no trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that make the best candidates for your options income trade using a very simple rules-based approach. It's going to free up a lot of time. You're going to be able to set up an income trade that gives you a baseline 70% or better success rate. Again, even if you've never traded an option before. You're going to have a trade management game plan in place prior to placing your trades, so you know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. You're going to learn how to confidently enter and exit trades with your broker like a pro, whether it's your first trade or 500th trade. And you're going to implement a system to safely and consistently generate income. That way you can live that lifestyle you want without the fear of running out of money. Now, the course itself is 8 modules long, and each module builds on the one prior. So as you go through each module, you're getting closer and closer to that end result, which is a system for consistent income. The first 2 modules are what we call the Options Income Foundation. And for those of you that have never traded options before, this is going to be important for you. A lot of people try to build a successful income portfolio, but they base it on a weak foundation of knowledge. We understand what it's like to learn options for the first time. We've been there before. It's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome you're going to get from Module 1 is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work so you can confidently use them in your trades. You're going to know which terms to pay attention to, which to ignore. That way you don't waste time or get frustrated. In Module 2, you're going to learn what a spread is and how they work. Those bull puts and bear calls, you're going to be filled with the confidence to start building your system around those new trades. Now that you completed a solid foundation of options knowledge, it's time to lay out the step-by-step system placing those income trades to generate your options paycheck. Each step along the way from here is going to stack probability in your favor and reduce risk. And it all starts with knowing when to trade. Here, you're going to get complete clarity on market trends. So instead of looking at all the possible trades, you're going to narrow your focus. You're going to know whether to place a bullish trade or a bearish trade, and even when not to trade. After you know the direction of the market, you're going to want to find the stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction as the market. And this is going to stack your probability even more in your favor. The outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that give you the highest probability. Now that you got your list of stocks, it's going to be time to narrow it down to the best option candidates that give you those highest probability for profits. By using the rules in this module, you'll make sure you're getting paid top dollar for your trade and making it so you can make money even if the stock goes nowhere. You're going to continue to stack probability and reduce risk in Module 6 by the way you set your trade up. You're going to make sure your trade has the perfect combination of risk to reward, and you'll know exactly where to set your strikes. Great trades don't happen by accident. They happen because of careful planning and strategically setting them up correctly right from the start. Now that you got your high probability trade picked out and you're ready to go, in Module 7, you're going to learn how to have your plan in place so you know when to exit the trade, not only to take profits, but to minimize losses as well. You're never going to be frozen like a deer in the headlights again. No matter what the market throws at you, you're going to know how to react, and that allows you to trade completely stress-free. Now that you found the best stock, you set up your low-risk, high-probability option trade, you mapped out your management game plan, it's time to place your trade. This module will break down the trade execution phase into simple, repeatable steps that you're going to commit to muscle memory in no time. We put everything that we do into a checklist. That way you never miss a step. So when you're first starting out, it's always comforting having that security blanket in place to make sure that you did everything correctly. And placing trades with your broker can be intimidating. So in addition to video walkthroughs of several popular brokers, we put together click-by-click directions for the most popular broker, Thinkorswim. Now, Before we talk about the price of the course, I want to make it even more low risk for you. We offer a 100% money back guarantee on the course. You can go through the entire course. And if you're not satisfied that we taught you how to profit using options, just simply notify us within a week of finishing the course and you get all your money back. It's completely no risk. All we ask is that you give it your best effort. Come to the classes that are live or watch the recordings. Either way, doesn't matter. Do the assignments because we know if you do, you will see the results. If you don't do the work, you won't be eligible for a refund. And the reason why I have such a tight refund policy is because I only want to attract those who are incredibly excited to jump in, do the work, and get those results. I want to attract those serious investors. In order to do that, I make the policy to where you actually have to do the course because I only want to attract those people who are serious about getting those results. And when you do the system, you're going to be learning a system that averages 3% per month. That's 36% per year on average. And remember, it doesn't take a lot of time to do this every week. I received this email from a client who took the course. Ron, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the Options Paycheck course. I took your class last fall and wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade, and so far I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 I've taken, a 68% winning rate. I've profited over 100,000 in that time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown in taking really good risk-reward trades, I've profited over 50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 78% of my last 100 trades, and I only take trades with a 2 to 1 or better risk reward. I want to thank you for teaching this simple but very effective system. Now, that's awesome. I will also tell you this, that Joe trades a lot more than I do. I probably take 12 to 15 trades a month. He's doing double that, and that's fine. If you want to scale the system up to more trades, hey, more power to you. But listen, if I told Joe I'd give him 100 grand in exchange for 2,000, do you think he'd take that trade? Would you take a trade like that? Well, I'll be making you a better offer than that here in just a minute. Now, before I tell you any more about it, I want to point something out. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something we should expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. This is serious, requires some effort on your part, so if you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. This is for serious people who take their investing seriously and are willing to put in the time to learn the system. So if you're serious about this and ready to do the work and get the results, then the Options Paycheck course is perfect for you. Step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full complete income generating system. Just these modules alone are worth the price of the course. However, we've got some amazing bonuses that go along with the course. The first of which is what we call the Mastery Package. The Mastery Package includes module by module mastery sessions. Each week, we're going to have 2 mastery sessions, one dedicated to each module. We want you to do 2 modules a week, then we get together live to discuss them. On Friday, I have an additional live Q&A. That means there's going to be 3 live sessions a week, giving you plenty of opportunities to ask questions and get help. The Mastery Package also includes a private dedicated email support with me and the Options Paycheck team. Additionally, if you don't already have it, we're going to give you access to both VectorVest and the Options Pro software that I use. That way you can test drive the best tools on the planet to help you implement this. With the Mastery Package bonus, you're going to have the tools and the support you need to master the techniques taught in this course. That way you're ready to place your first income trade in the shortest time possible. And speaking of that, our second bonus is what we call Implementation Month. You're going to get access to my live trading sessions. Every week, I have 2 sessions that I do options paycheck trades with my coaching students. You're going to watch me find, select, set up, and place trades in real time. Plus, I'll show you how I manage my existing trades each week. This is a huge bonus. You're going to see how the paycheck system works in action live. And you can follow along on your own account if you want to. I'll also hold live office hours twice a week. Together, we'll walk through the system step by step in real time, over and over again. Our past students have said this is one of the favorite parts of the course because watching that repetition really helped cement the concepts and process for them. If you're worried it might be a little too much, I'm including this bonus. It's called the SPF Paycheck System. This is where I take the entire course and I boil it down into something you can do in as little as 15 minutes a week. It's one trade type, one ticker symbol, one setup rule, one profit rule, one stop criteria. It's simple and it's easy to do. My teammate Bryant taught this to his then 14-year-old daughter, and she was able to do these trades. For many of my students, this is the only system they use. As a recap, with today's offer, you're going to get the complete Options Paycheck training program that includes 8 training modules, the videos, the checklist, the cheat sheets, the quizzes, the slides, and more. You're going to get the bonus mastery package, the implementation month bonus, and the SPX paycheck system. Total value of that, $54.75. But here's the opportunity in front of you. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. And if you choose to be one of them, together, we're going to create an income system in your portfolio, even if you've never had success with options. We're going to do this. If you want to join me, have me take you by the hand and help you install an income system in your portfolio, then instead of that $5,000, the early bird price is $1,295. However, you have spent about an hour with me today, so here's what I want to do just for you. If you order before the end of the webinar today, you got probably about 25 minutes or so. Instead of paying the $12.95, you can get it for $9.95. That means you're going to get the full course. You get 1 year of access to the course materials, 2 months of Options Pro and VectorVest, the Mastery Package, the Implementation Month, all for $9.95. Once we finish with the webinar this afternoon, the price goes back up to $12.95. And listen, I know that asking $9.95 is a cost, but then you got to ask yourself, what's it costing you not to do this? How much money are you going to lose by trying to figure this out by trial and error? How much profit are you going to miss out by? How much time and energy will you spend trying to do this on your own? Then ask yourself, how would life be different if you did it and it worked? And I want you to remember, it's got a 100% money back guarantee. The onus is on me to show you how this will affect you greatly. You know, there's an old expression we use here at VectorVest that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you can be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. You know when the second best time is? It's today. It's not too late to begin to prepare yourself for retirement and learn to generate income. This is one of those deciding days in your life. Will it be the day you decide to take action and set yourself up for a secure retirement, or will it be the day you look back on where you squandered an amazing opportunity to create that consistent income stream? I hope you don't regret the decision you make right now. I don't want you to miss this opportunity. I look forward to working with you over the next 2 months to get this implemented in your portfolio. So again, go to optionspaycheck.com and get yourself registered. That $9.95 price is only available while we're live on the webinar. So if you've never taken the Options Paycheck course before and you want the lowest price, now's the time. After the webinar, goes back to $12.95. So if you know this is right for you and you're joining me, do me a favor. While I go through the last couple of things here before we launch the Q&A, just let me know. Hey, Ron, I'm in. We want to welcome you to the class by name and tell you what's next. Now, as you're doing that, or if you still need to know some scheduling issues, let's talk about that. Some of the most common questions I get is, when are the live sessions? And what if I miss one? Well, let's talk about that. The live sessions start on Tuesday, April 30th. Registration closes, and we have our first welcome session at 4:30. On May 1st, it's our first mastery session. On the 2nd, it's our second mastery session. On the 3rd, it's our Q&A. So you get, through the month of May, essentially, 3 live sessions a week. You're going to go through the curriculum on our university site, do the curriculum on your own, and then we're going to meet 3 times a week to discuss it with you, answer any questions, walk through quizzes, pretty much everything that you need. Okay? That's when you're going to learn the system, in the month of May. So we do it via live and we do it via recordings. If you don't watch the live classes, it's not a big deal. You can send me questions and I can answer it live for you. And you can watch the recording later. Then in late April, early May, this is when we're going to start our, May. I'm sorry, June. I'm getting my months wrong. In June, I can't believe it's like going to be June here soon. In June, we're going to do our implementation. Okay? We're going to do two sessions on Monday, SPX and stocks, and then you can see that on late or Memorial Day, the office is closed. So we do that on Tuesday. Then we're going to have 2 office hour sessions a week. Now on Wednesday, we do our office hours after the market closes, which is kind of cool, right? Why is it kind of cool? Because I'm going to show you how you can take trades and look for trades at night to be ready for the next day. So we have lots of time over that month of June to get you really ready to do this on your own. I'm going to walk you through my trades. You can join me on my trades if you want to. We'll look for some more trades on Wednesday and Thursday. So we're going to teach you this over the course of May and June. Now, one more comment here from Greg. Greg recently graduated. He said, prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away from me, and I feared if I didn't fix it, I'd lose more of my portfolio than I could afford to lose. After taking the options paycheck, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. In the first month, I made a net of $10,200 from my options income trade with 9 winners and 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was well done, very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity I'm thankful I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You will make more in the first month than you paid to take the course. I was one of those fence sitters who didn't take this for a long time when it was offered. I lost a lot by not taking the program sooner. I'm very grateful and appreciative of the work that was put into making this training program available. So another question that we get a lot is, how much options experience do I need? Well, we poll all of our prior attendees, and 85% of the course graduates said that you can be successful with little to no prior experience. So it is doable. You can do this with little to no prior experience. Just a couple of more of our clients that you've seen, and some of you haven't. Cheryl said, I've surpassed my expectation. I don't need the money back guarantee. I tripled my investment. Frank, after taking the course, I already have a profit of $7,300. Before the course, it was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the options trades I'm doing. Cam said he made back the initial investment so many times over, even though it's a small part of his portfolio, it's probably the most profitable. Jake, I finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. Some of our more recent students, thanks for a wonderful course where within a short time you've opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, your desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of thought in the training manual, and I already paid for the tuition with a few Delta 35 SPX trades. David says the options paycheck experience is by far the best course I've ever attended in all my years with VectorVest since '99. You've eliminated my fear of options trading. The manner in which you present the material is truly outstanding. Ben, the attention I received for all my email questions was above and beyond what I expected. A lot of my questions were demonstrated in class, and that made learning much easier. Great job. So again, remember, sign up now. It's $9.95. Once the webinar goes away, the price goes back up to $12.95. Registration closes at May 3rd at 10 a.m. So make sure you are getting registered. Actually, that's not May 3rd. That's a wrong date in there. I believe registration closes on April 30th instead. So make sure you fill in your details, get signed up at optionspaycheck.com. And again, if you know this is right for you, just send us a shout out. Say, hey, Ron, I'm in. We'd love to welcome you by name. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to transition over to our Q&A session. I'm going to bring in my colleague, Brian, who's been in the background monitoring and answering and stacking some questions, and we will answer any remaining questions that you have.
All right, fabulous, Ron. Nice session. We had a lot of interest, a lot of questions, a lot of excitement in the chat. So we've had a bunch of people saying, I'm in. We were trying to welcome all of them in the chat. I might miss a few. We got Mark, where is it? Dale, Robert, and so on. Welcome to all of you into the course. We'll process your order here in a little bit. And so keep an eye out for a welcome email later on this afternoon. It'll have all the details that some of you are asking as far as the dates and the times. I know Ron mentioned some of the dates and times, but it'll have all the details in there. It'll have the directions to get into the course. So basically everything you need will be in that welcome email. So keep an eye out for that here in the next couple hours. But also check your junk and your spam folder because sometimes it sneaks over there. So welcome to all of you who are in the class. It's great to have you in there. I always tell the guys, you know, Ron and John and Todd, our entire retirement team here, that we change lives. Like every time we do a session like this and a course like this, I really feel it's life-changing for the people who come through as students because we see all the comments from all the surveys and the reactions to the students. So you are definitely in a great spot. Welcome to the class. Ron, is it okay if I hit some of the housekeeping questions before I hit some of the more serious ones over to you?
Definitely.
Okay. So there are some questions. There are some people who have taken the class who want it as a refresher. Brian, specifically, I see that in the chat. If you have taken this class, you know, we've been teaching this for a while, and like I said, changing people's lives for years. Sometimes people have taken it years ago and they want to do a refresher. If you are one of them, we do have a refresher price, which is just $4.95. So if you've taken this specific class before and you'd like the refresher price, we would have sent you an email this morning with a special link in it. If you feel you qualify, number one, check your email for that link, or just in the chat, say that you've taken it and you'd like the refresher link. John will check for you and double check to make sure that you qualify as a refresher, and then put your link into the chat for you specifically. Okay, so please check that out and let John know in the chat if you would like the refresher link. We'll take care of that for you. Elite pricing, by the way, this $9.95 actually is the elite pricing. So for a short time, everybody has access to this elite price of $9.95. It'll go back up to $12.95 as soon as the webinar is over, probably within about 10 minutes or so of us wrapping up today. The benefit of being a VectorVest Elite member is you'll have access to this $9.95 price for the entire duration while we have registration open, whereas non-VectorVest Elite members only have a limited window here to get it for the $9.95. Okay. Other than that, Ron, you already hit some of the other questions as far as the dates and the times of the live sessions. So I appreciate you doing that. Other than that, Ron, I'm just going to hit up some of the trading questions for you. Are you ready for that?
I am.
Okay. So we have some questions from people who have a bigger account, some people who have smaller account. So I figured we'll just batch these up into one question for you. Is there an ideal size account? Is there a minimum amount somebody should have? Is there a maximum? So maybe could you touch on that for people?
Yeah, the minimum is $5,000. Why is that the minimum? Because to control your risk by how many contracts you take, you want to have at least $5,000. Now, as far as the maximum goes, you can trade a system like this probably up to about $400,000 or $500,000 because you're trading options. And you're going to be limiting the amount of trades that you can take when you have to trade a huge contract size. If you're trading 100 contracts of an option, doing trades like this, it's really going to limit how many stocks that you can actually trade. So I always say this kind of goes to maybe about $400,000 or $500,000 would be your top end. Now, if you're more in the okay, Ron, that's a lot and that's a little. I would probably say if you want to put in an amount that's a good starting point, I always say $25,000 to $30,000 is a good starting amount. And the reason why I say that is because it's going to allow you to kind of diversify. You can trade some S&P trades. You can trade a couple of stock trades in different categories and different industry groups to kind of keep yourself diversified. So I think $25,000 to $30,000 is a nice little starting point while you get your feet wet. And then if you want to continue building onto that and adding more once you get your feet underneath you, great, you can do that. And you can do the same thing with $5,000 too. It doesn't really make much of a difference. $5,000 is the minimum, $400 or $500 is the max. A good starting point, 25 to 30, and anywhere in between.
All right, fabulous. Ron, you actually answered the other question while you were giving the presentation there at the end about the doing it in a retirement account. But just in case somebody wasn't listening, is this something that requires just a regular trading account, or can it be done in a retirement account as well?
It can be done in an IRA. Now, most brokers out there, and you'll have to look into this, it's called a limited margin IRA. I have one with Fidelity. I think you have one with Thinkorswim or Schwab now, right? I know a lot of our other guys have them. So yes, you can do this in an IRA. Just call your person who has your IRA, ask them about limited margin, and tell them that you want to do bull puts and bear calls. But you can do this in an IRA with mostly the way the IRAs are set up. But just double check first. Don't say, oh, I can do this, and you find out that your IRA won't support it. So always call your broker first.
All right, fabulous. This question I did answer, I believe, once on the YouTube stream and in the chat, and I believe you answered it as well. But again, worth repeating. I guess two questions. The sessions that you do, are they recorded, and does somebody get access to the recordings?
Yes, we do. As I've said a couple of times, this is a very important point, so let's talk about it again. The course is recorded and the course is live. What does that mean? Well, when you go through the modules are all pre-recorded. So you watch the pre-recorded modules on your own time. We want you to do 2 modules a week starting at the end of April into May. And then we do live sessions through the 2 months. Now, if you can be at the live sessions, that's great. You don't have to come to the live sessions if you don't want to. We record all of the live sessions. Those are made available on our university site. As we get the live sessions done, we update the site. You'll be able within a couple hours to go through there and see the live session that we just did. So you can watch it all via the recordings if you want. You can come to the live sessions if you want. It's completely up to you.
All right. And those of you who are asking about the checklist that Ron talked about at the beginning of the session, I put it into the chat box, the handouts area of GoToWebinar about 10 minutes ago. So if you might have seen it started flashing in GoToWebinar, but right above where you are typing to us in the chat, look for a spot that says handouts. Those of you who are listening in on YouTube, I'll put a link into the chat for you momentarily, and that way you can access that link and go get it. All right, so give me a moment on YouTube. I'll get that for you. Just quick reminder, everybody, this $9.95 price is good while we're live here. Ron, actually, I forgot about doing this. We have questions from Brandon, Jeffrey, and Frank. We'll come back to those in just a moment. But Ron, can you actually show somebody what it looks like to go to optionspaycheck.com and kind of walk them through what they need to click on?
Sure. All right, so you guys all should see the screen. It should say the Options Paycheck Experience. And the big thing is, to get started, you just have to click on this Register Today, this big button right in the middle. Just click on that guy. And then you'll see Enroll in the Options Paycheck Experience today. Everybody should see the $9.95 price. Just click on Buy Now and Save. And then just enter in your information. And that's basically all you have to do. Now, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
While you're on that site, if you want to, by the way, you can scroll down and you can see more testimonials of all the people, a little bit of a summary of the course. So that site is not only to sign up, you can also see all of the descriptions of the modules, the packages that you get, the risk-free money-back guarantees, some FAQs, like, you know, how much money do I need? What if I miss a live session? So we've got all those answered for you in case you're kind of thinking about it. But this has all kinds of all kinds of testimonials and everything that can help you make your decision.
All right, and I think we'll answer Robert's question because it leads right into what we were about to do. Ron, can you show people what it actually looks like inside the course? Because
Sure.
Robert's like, hey, do we get it in the welcome packet? Does it include a calendar of the sessions? Because he missed when you showed the slides. And Ron's going to show you here in just a moment. There's actually a course curriculum checklist with all the dates and the times and everything, all the sessions in a calendar that we actually recommend that you print out. But Ron's going to give you, those of you who haven't signed up or who have signed up, this is actually what the course looks like. When you sign up, Ron's going to show you all the things that you get inside the course. You can see it's a very comprehensive course with, we feel we've kind of dotted a lot of I's and crossed a lot of T's and give you a ton of resources that'll help you to be successful. So Ron, I'm going to pass it over to you.
All right, cool. And as Brian said, this is what the course looks like in our university site. And the big thing is the course curriculum checklist. I would print this out right away. If you open that up, you're going to see our checklist. And really all the checklist is it just kind of goes through everything we're trying to accomplish. And then for the modules, so module 1, we want to make sure you watch the snapshot and all the lessons and do the review and the review questions and the action items. And there's a little space over here to take notes if you have any questions on each of the modules. That goes through all 8 of our modules, okay? And then at the end, this is the key. This is your schedule of live events. So Tuesday, April 30th at 4:30 is our welcome session. Wednesday, May 1st at 4:30, Module 1 Mastery. So this is the live schedule of all of our events, okay? All of our events that you can do. Now, underneath that, you're going to see all of our modules. All modules 1 through 8 are listed below. You have your recorded lessons. So if you open that up, that's all of the individual lessons in that module of what you're going to learn. We want you to watch all of those videos. Again, those are something you're going to watch on your own time, okay? You're going to watch those at your leisure. The first week of the course, we're going to do a mastery session for module 1 and 2, recover those and review those with you. There's a review question area, so you can take a quiz to make sure you're understanding things. There's an action item. Every module has an action item. We want you to start implementing this thing as fast as you can. So there's a walkthrough video, like in module 5. We're talking about how to go through VectorVest, how to find trades that meet the criteria, all that kind of stuff, right? FAQs. And then importantly, here's the mastery session recording. So if I go all the way back to mastery session or module 1, I open that up, you're going to see a recording that was from January 31st, 24. That was the last session I did. After your session, that's going to be re-uploaded, and you're going to see one from, I can't remember the date, but you'll see the recording uploaded and updated to yours. So you still have some old recordings in there if you want to view what we did back in January. So below that, you have your bonus SPX module, so you can learn the SPX paycheck right away if you want to, and start with that. And these are the recordings for the office hours and live Q&As that we do throughout the course. So on the first Friday, we do our Q&A. If I open up the week 1, you'll see a link there for it. Now, this is our old one that we did from February 2nd. That's okay, okay? When we do the first one with you guys in April, we're going to update that video right after we do the live one. So you'll be able to watch the recording there. These are our live trading session areas where you can see the recordings of our prior live trading sessions. Again, those will become updated when we get to that with your class. We've got some Options Pro video tutorials. So when you get Options Pro starting on May 1st, you can watch some tutorials if you'd like to learn a little bit more about the software. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. We actually teach you the Options Pro stuff throughout the course. And by the way, we also teach you how to do this with brokers too. So I don't want you to think that you have to have VectorVest and Options Pro. Those are great tools that we're going to use a lot. But I'm also going to be dedicating time to just saying, okay, you have Thinkorswim. Here's how we implement the system using Thinkorswim or Fidelity or E-Trade, something like that. And then speaking of that, we have broker help videos. Thinkorswim, E-Trade, IB, Ally, Fidelity. Those are the brokers that I have access to that I've created videos for. And then most importantly, down here is your webinar link. So if I click on that and open that up, these are going to be all of the links to the live webinar. We send out email reminders of all of our webinars 24 hours before the class starts, but sometimes emails can be tricky. It goes to your clutter folder, goes to your spam folder, and you may not get the link. Don't worry, we've covered that. In the university site, just go to the live webinar link. Here's the link for the welcome session on the 30th. Here's the link for the mastery on May 1st. And every week, these will become updated with all the new links. And then finally, under resources, this is where you can download all of the material. So all the PowerPoints that we did, open up module 1, you can download all the slides. As you get further into the course, you're going to notice some other things like a position sizing worksheet that we use. In module 8, you're going to see the checklist that we use. For the SPX, you're going to see the checklist that we use for the SPX and some walkthroughs from Thinkorswim. But this is going to be your home for the options paycheck for the next 2 months. That's how you access that, and that is how you get to all the materials.
All right, that was an awesome walkthrough, Ron. Appreciate that. All right, so before we get to, we have a few more questions. A reminder, go to optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered today. And you should get a welcome email here in the next couple of hours, most likely. So check your inbox or your junk or your spam folder for that. I'm going to head back over to Brandon's question. Brandon had a question about a trade that you did during today's session. He said, so for the examples that you used in the presentation, how much capital was being used in each trade? He said all he saw was an average return of $800.
Right. You're using probably on the trade like that, you're using probably anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 in capital. That's not your risk, by the way. That's not what you're risking on the trade. That's just the margin requirement for those trades. So anywhere from about $3,000 to $5,000 is your margin requirement. The trades themselves would have a risk equal to about the profit. So if I have a profit of $800, I'm probably risking around $800 on that trade. But the margin requirement's usually between 3 and 5.
All right, you ready for the next one?
Yep.
All right, so Jeffrey saw that can make an average about 3% per month. He says, what if I do twice as many trades? He says, if I make 2 trades a week, can I expect 6% per month?
It's interesting that it doesn't necessarily work that way, because as you increase your trade, you still have a base level of probability that you're going to go from. So you would definitely increase your performance, most likely, yes, for sure. But it wouldn't just be like a doubling and a doubling of it, because you're gonna introduce more losing trades to the equation. You'll definitely introduce some more winning trades to the equation. But as long as, if the statistics worked out perfectly, the answer would be yes. But as we all know, statistics don't work perfectly in that situation. But yes, you would theoretically increase your chances, increase your gains as well.
All right, and I think this is just a different way of phrasing Brandon's question, but Frank had a question saying, if you had a $30,000 account, how much would you put into each trade?
Well, it depends. If you have a $30,000 account, and we talk a lot about this in Module 7, by the way, it just depends on the risk, really. I don't worry about how much I'm putting into the trade necessarily. I worry more about risk. So, I'm going to break out my calculator so I don't make any mistakes in my math. And again, don't worry, because this is something that we cover hugely in Module 7. On a $30,000 account, I would be risking maybe about $300 to $400 per trade, and that's it. So maybe $400 in risk with a $300 to $400 profit target. Realistically, you're probably going to be using about $1,000 to $1,500 in margin for each trade. Based on my quick little mathematical calculator in the background here.
I thought you did it all in your head.
Well, I can, but I don't trust myself.
And Ron, that you have to, when you were showing the course, you talked about that position sizing worksheet, and you just mentioned module 7, also in where I believe where you showed the position sizing worksheet. That's where something like that would come in very handy, that we provide in the course, where people can just say, oh, this is the size of my account. This is and it'll basically tell them, it'll calculate it for them how many contracts they should trade. All right, are you ready for a couple more before we wrap up here, Ron?
Sure.
Okay. When we go through the surveys at the end of the course, we asked people what their biggest hesitation was about signing up for the course, and typically, if it's not number 1, it's number 2. The hesitation is cost. They want to know. They're like, it's $995. Is it worth it for me to buy this course? And they're just worried about the cost. Maybe could you touch on trying to maybe overcome that hesitation or that fear from people that spending the $995 up front, is it worth it? Maybe you could touch on that.
Yeah, it's a good question. And, listen, if things go the way they've gone for the past 12 years, using options Paycheck, even if you have a $5,000 account, the money for the course is going to come back to you in that first year for sure. And then as you make more money, obviously, that compounds it. But the biggest thing about the $995, and the reason why we do this is because of this hesitation. This is why we have that money back guarantee. I want to make sure that you sign up with the course and you're confident that even if it doesn't work, even if you don't think that you can do this, you have an ability to get refunded. You have an ability to have an out plan for yourself. So take the course with the confidence that, hey, we're going to prove it to you over the next 2 months that not only is this real, it's doable, it's workable, and we're going to show you how to implement this in your trading accounts as well. So that's where we put, our money where our mouth is. We're going to make sure that you can do this.
And actually, a similar question, the second common hesitation is along those same lines. It's amazing to read how people phrase this, but in a nutshell, people are saying they were hesitant because they were worried that this was all just marketing hype. Like, would they get the value for their money? Is this all just like some sort of marketing gimmick and it's not really real, so to speak? And we try to overcome that by, talking about Ron's real results at the very beginning. Those are pulled right from the brokerage account. But Ron, maybe in your own words, like if somebody said to you, like, I'm hesitant about signing up for this course because I think it's just a big marketing mumbo jumbo. It's just all hype. What would you tell them?
I basically would tell them the same thing. It's not. If we wanted to hype this, we could do like a lot of companies do. I could say that, hey, take a look at, this. I made 11% this month and 15% this month, and not talk about the months where I had losses. I like to be upfront. I like to be real. That's why I say 3%. Could you do better than 3%? Yes, there's been years that I've done way better than 3%. I've done 60% in a year before. I don't focus on that. I don't advertise on that. I talk about what I've done with the, with the 3% per month, because I want to keep it realistic. I want to keep it to what you can realistically do in your accounts and give you a good, a good goal. So no, not just marketing hype. And again, that's kind of goes back to the return policy. We want to prove it to you for sure.
Yep. And a wise man once said, I don't know who it was, but if you take care of the process, the scoreboard takes care of itself.
Yep.
So you just follow the process. And that kind of leads into Jeffrey's question. There's a couple of ways we could answer this, Jeffrey. He says, if I have a $20,000 account, what's the most I could expect to earn in a year? And, we could just as easily just write back to you, Jeffrey, and say, just figure out what 3% per month is. And that's what we're saying that this system generates. But I'm going to speak for me, Ron, and then can you add to it? But Jeffrey, I would recommend, as Ron just said, don't focus on the money, because when you focus on the money, you're going to make mistakes. Like, focus on the system. Focus on learning to do the system the right way, even if it means you do not put any real money at risk up front and you just kind of learn the system, paper trade it at first. But then I would say once you feel comfortable and you've gone through the course, even if you could trade more than one contract, trade just one contract. You might not generate the 3% on your total account right away, but you're learning the system. You're learning how to drive the car. You're learning how to block and tackle. Whatever analogy you want to use, learn how to do it the right way. The profits will come as a result of you following the system. And then just, you don't focus on the money, focus on the system. Then you look back at it and you're like, wow, all right, this is how much I made this year. But Ron, that was me talking. But from you, if you had somebody say, oh, I have this size of account, what can I expect to make? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit that right on the head. My initial response is kind of just like you. My goal is for you to make 3% per month. Can you make more than that? Absolutely. But I would focus on that 3%. Now, listen, that 3% per month might not always come at 3% per month. You might make 6%, 8%, 4%, but then you're going to have a month where you might lose 3 or 4% too. Okay. So, keep your eye on the prize of becoming a successful trader. And that's really the key. Learn the process, get it good, and the money will come.
And in your prior answer, Ron, you brought up the refund policy. I answered somebody on the YouTube stream regarding the refund. Hey, just let us know. Like, as soon as you know that the course is not for you, if for some reason you are not satisfied, or you're disappointed, and you feel it isn't working for you for some reason, let us know as soon as you know. Like, if it's in the first month, let us know. But we just ask that you let us know within a week after finishing the course. Like, the course is going to be for the next couple of months. Let us know within a week of finishing, and we'll give you a full refund if you ask for it. The key is you have to ask for it. Just let us know. But like Ron said, we do ask that you actually do the work. Like, actually show that you've done something, where you've watched the recordings or whatever. Because we know if you actually do the work, you're going to see the results. But yeah, just let us know about the refund, and we'll give you a full refund if you ask for it. It's another reason it becomes a no risk thing. All right, so a couple of housekeeping items before we wrap up. The registration officially closes for good. The last day that we take anybody into this course will be April 30th. So that's a couple of weeks from now. That being said, if you register now, don't forget that you can jump ahead in the course. I'm surprised we didn't talk about this too much earlier. Jump ahead to the bonus module, because a lot of people actually say that their favorite part of the course was learning Ron's SPX system, which is super simple to implement. You could jump ahead to that, and who knows, you could actually be placing those trades next week if you wanted to. So check that out. You can, once you register for the course, you'll get a welcome email letting you know how to get in there, and you can spend the next 2 weeks before the first live session and start going through the training. But registration closes on the 30th. The $995 is good while we're live here, and then it goes back to $1,295. If you've taken the course before and you want a refresher price, it is only $495. But for that, you've got to, at this point, I would just recommend calling our office or emailing our team and letting them know, and they could handle it for you. But we're also going to send you a few emails with a special link in it. Some things that we didn't talk about too much during the Q&A here were, if you need help during class, in addition to all the live webinars that Ron does, you could submit questions via email if that is easier for you. And you could even ask us to answer it during the mastery session. We give you a private email address, so check that out. We'll send that to you in the welcome email that you'll get later on today. And I guess that might just about wrap this up. I'm going to, at this point, Ron, just pass it over to you if you want to add anything else, and then count on you to wrap things up for the day.
All right, sounds good. Nope, there's really not much more to add. I think we kind of hit all the highlights there and all the notes. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank all of you for sticking it with me through this hour and 40 minutes of questions and demonstrations and stuff. So for those of you that are signing up, thank you. And we look forward to seeing you in late April here as we get into our live curriculum. and spending the next 2 months with you, teaching you how to do these types of trades. It's going to be a great time for all of us. This is kind of like my Super Bowl, and my Super Bowl gets to happen like 4 times a year, so I love it. So with that, I'll bid you a farewell. Have a great rest of your day. Have a successful 2024 in the markets, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in a couple weeks live as our Options Paycheck experience kicks off. So thanks once again, everyone, and best of success to you.